Hey, everybody, it is Dave Lucas. I hope you guys are doing well. I am solo with you again this week as Doc is traveling. I just want to make sure that everything is working right with the live stream this week. So give it a second. And if you're out there, just let me know if you guys can see and hear me okay. Looking like it's good on the monitor and everything, which is awesome. Perfect. All right, we are off and running. So, hey, the markets, very interesting Friday into Monday, right? We basically have a massive move down. Now we're bouncing all back up in just a span of a day. So, where does this leave us? And so, for me, again, we've been in a little bit of a downtrend. It's that time of year as you get into August. We typically see that from a seasonal standpoint where markets get volatile into September. They kind of feel their way and manage themselves through to about the beginning of October. And then we're off to the races into the end of the year again. So, right now, that's kind of how we're shaping us, what we're looking like. Today's rally off of Friday's move down really just has us not really going anywhere during that time. It's actually sideways action after going down for a few days. So in this case right now, we're kind of still sitting, in a position where we're down a little over a percent or two, and just kind of waiting to see where we go next. And the key to this whole thing for me, I think, and I talked about this with my students over the weekend, is we've got a pretty exhaustive weekly chart that needs to charge back up. So I'll talk about that a little bit more as we get into things today. But overall, we got I guess some good tariff news over the weekend in the sense that the message was that tariffs are what they are at this point. They're not going to change, and I think the market really likes that. It provides some certainty. Remember, the market loves certainty, so that's a key thing for it. There, it knows what to bet on now and everything. For the tariff side, we'll see if that holds true. We've seen kind of heard that before. We've seen changes and all that come about, but that was kind of the big news over the weekend. The rest, is just again kind of that seasonality. We've gone up to new highs, and we had that shock of the jobs announcement on Friday, and the revisions down, and all of that, and that spooked the markets a little bit. I think a lot because normally that would actually be a great signal for the Fed to cut rates, but it seems like Powell really wants to stay the course here for whatever reason, and some are saying it's political, some are saying they, that having two people dissent for the first time in decades is a telltale sign that Powell is too dug in and not really following the data. We'll see what happens in the September meeting. We've got that time now until the September meeting, and usually it's that's when things happen, right? The September meeting is always like when things are announced, right? So maybe they will start cutting rates then. We'll have to see. But normally that would have been, the markets would have cheered that lower jobs data in the sense that they think that the Fed's going to cut rates. But with Powell holding steady where he is and dug in, as it seems, markets took that, they sold off, and they said, okay, the Fed's going to stay too long. We've got declining job numbers. Does this potentially lead to a recession? And some of the odds for a recession ticked up, although they're pretty low still, like 20%, that sort of thing. But that was really an excuse for profit taking after this massive run. That's really what Friday was about. It's like, hey, when in doubt, palms out, take the money and take it off the table. And then you see people stepping back in and buying it up today. So that's kind of the state of the state, if you will. We'll jump into some of the charts. And talk a little bit about what the charts are showing us here. So let me see here. All right, you guys should be able to see the SPX chart up on my screen. And so here we are. We got, we had some of those down days last week. We had this crazy day down that started up. This was your key reversal on Thursday, right? So this was your key reversal. You hit new highs, sold it all the way off. Big sell down Friday. Nice little bit of a bounce today, right? Kind of a little relief, but nowhere near back to new highs yet. So the question that we really have to ask ourselves is that what this is? Just a little bit of a relief rally, or are we off to the races again? And so we've got about 42 on the energy. So when we talk about energy. If you haven't seen this before, we this is our energy indicator for the market. It's a proprietary indicator here at 12 Minute Trading. It just tracks the energy in a chart to trend. It doesn't tell us which way a chart's going to go. I utilize the Bollinger Bands and some other things for that, but it does tell us if the chart has enough energy. So when you're completely exhausted, as we saw here, right, going in one direction, you typically turn around and go the other way, and that's what we saw. But is this just it? Is that it? Now we walk sideways and charge back up, or do we head on down maybe into this level right here, around 6,000, and really, kind of get this chart fully charged? But more importantly, like I said, the key to this is all the weekly chart. See how this, almost 3 weeks now sideways is charging this thing back up, but it's got a long way to go. It's sitting there at 40. A good move down to 6,000 right here. This former level of resistance now becomes support. We hit this level, right? Find that support, perfect lower high or higher low, I should say, and then off to the races again. And so that's kind of what I see right now with overall in the markets. This is pretty tired still. It needs to, charge up. And the few ways it can charge up is to walk sideways or have that kind of nasty move down over a few weeks and recharge itself back up, get ready to go again. But that would honestly be healthy for the markets. Think about, going on a run like this, pulling back here, putting in that higher low here, and then off to the races again through the end of the year. That really sets up well just for, good positive bull market action. So I had said, 5% correction, would be normal to see in August into September. And so we're a couple percent in. Can we get all the way there? We'll have to see on that. This could be it, though. Honestly, just the way this market's been, this could be it. That could be the 1 week wonder, and then off to the races. And so that's the SPX. One thing I do want to look at is gold too. So looking at gold, we have been in this range, gosh, forever, it seems like. And this weekly chart is very charged up, and it's starting to release. So are we starting to finally release higher on this gold chart? Time's going to tell, but it's getting really close. You can see the squeeze on the Bollinger Bands. Anytime you see a squeeze on the Bollinger Bands, think about like putting water in your hand and squeeze them like that, right? Squeezing that water out of your hand, it comes spurting out of there. And it's the same thing when you get a squeeze. We were back here as a squeeze, bam, big move to the upside. Squeeze, bam, big move to the upside. Another squeeze, big move to the upside. So the MO has been to have a big move to the upside. And you can see over the course of weeks, this goes on for 10, 12 weeks out of here, especially when we got this full charge like this. And so here we were again. We went from 243 to 272, so 30 points in gold over the span of 6 to 8 weeks, right? So now look at this massive flag that's on here. So this thing's getting ready to go again on a multi-week run in a direction. And if you're smart, I would just let it show you that direction. I would look for it to break, this level here, this 317 out to new highs, or break down below 300. Either way, and either way as it keeps going, that's confirmation to me that that's the direction that it's going to go, and you can take advantage of that. So that's what's happening with GLD there. Let's see here. Looks like, oh, yep. Thanks, Alan. Great. So those are a couple things to watch during this time. I think, let's see if we get even more corrective action over the next few weeks. It's just whatever, any piece of bad news that comes in can do that. I think at this point, there just isn't a ton of things to keep buying into, right? There's not a lot of things to tell you to sell, but there isn't a ton of, like, everything's done. It's priced in now. So what's the reason, right? So it's easier to take profits at these levels. If you look at like the NASDAQ, it's very similar to the S&P. Same thing, another nice bounce back up after a big down day. Big down week, bouncing back up, still within a few hundred points of the high on the weekly chart, but sitting there at 40. You can see just same thing, ready to charge back up. And you got the daily chart, that's sitting at about the same. It's almost identical. S&P and the NASDAQ, this is the NDX, the NASDAQ 100, more and more mirror each other because a lot of the same stocks are in them these days. And so that's again kind of the same place that we are here. Just, where's this going to go? Tell us which way you want to break, up or down, up or down. It's easier to go down to charge up that weekly chart, but it doesn't have to. So those are my major things. Now, flipping over to some charts of different things, some things I've been watching. So here's Netflix. So Netflix seems to have come to a bottom. See how charged up it is. This is one that I'm looking at. Is it time to sell into this thing? Right? Can you sell deep out of the money on this and really take advantage of where this chart is? Looking at the weekly chart on it, it looks like it is maybe, just maybe, starting to turn the corner and release higher, right? This would be a nice place right here, this moving average to bounce from. But if the overall market goes lower a little bit more, it'll go with it. But definitely out of the the Mag sevens and those big tech flyers, this one's been beaten down in a good way since earnings, right? Really about a couple percent, 2-3% on this thing. So that's a good one to look at if you're tracking those. Another one, I think I shared this last week, is CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike seems to be getting closer to a bottom. The weekly chart on this one looks like it's same thing. We're right there at the moving average, getting ready to turn around and go. So that's another one to look at, but it does have earnings that are coming up. So we have to see how earnings shake out here in the coming weeks. You can look at the bellwethers like in Nvidia. It's had some movement down, but it's still holding up there. It got into exhaustion, sold off a couple of days, big, that big drop down about 10 points or so. And now we've got this big bounce today. Weekly chart on this thing, pretty exhausted. And you can see why. This is just, one heck of a move off the bottom there. So how long can this thing continue to go? It's starting to roll a little bit, starting to roll over. It may pause for a little bit, but it may just flag out here before it keeps going. It certainly is the, propping up the overall market, as a whole, this thing is. So that's another one, to keep in mind. Look for that move down. Look for, into the 160s on it. I would say it'd be a good time to look at something on there. And then you can look at things like Palantir, right? Palantir's still cranking. It's fully charged again. Again, here's earnings right there today. Aftermarket, we'll see how that shapes up. It'll probably bounce again, but it's fully charged. So it's got all the energy to move after earnings. So watch this thing on earnings. If it does get slammed on earnings, that'd be a great time to come in and pick some of this stock up. So, the earnings is always tough. It's always tough to trade around earnings. I don't personally do it. I typically wait for after earnings, and then I take advantage of the move whichever way that it goes. So whether that's selling, call side, put side, whatever that is, or, even picking up some shares and doing things like the wheel or something on that. I like to do that after earnings. I don't like to get in ahead of earnings just because you never know, right? You get big moves like, well, for example, like you look at Meta, right? You get this move on Meta, right? And if you're positioned wrong in it, right, you're in a world of trouble either way. And so now you take advantage of it, whichever way it's going. And so that's the way that I kind of like to play these things. And so that's this week, is we got a lot more earnings, but the big ones, a lot of the Palantirs, things like that, but none of the big Mag 7. Most of those are out of the way. One other one to keep your tabs on, guys, Tesla. Tesla, is at a point where it could turn around, run back up the other way. So it keeps hugging right around that 200-day moving average. It's above the 200-week moving average. You can see same thing, came right down on the moving average here, and looks like it's maybe starting to release higher. So that's Tesla as well. If you guys have any that you want me to take a look at, I'm happy to do so. Go ahead and put the tickers into the chat. And if you have any questions, go ahead. We're going to keep it to just, another 10 minutes today. I've got an early stop ahead of the top of the hour. But if there are any tickers you want me to take a look at, I'm happy to do so. While that's going on, I'll jump over and we'll look at IBIT as a Bitcoin play. And so you can see here, again, this is a little bit of a pullback in it. It had, a lot of charge, and it's kind of like almost sideways finding support again. And so this is one, man, you can see pulling back to prior levels of resistance. this now becomes support. Is this the place to jump off of for the next move? Weekly chart's not so great to see because we don't have that long with this thing, but this is a flag. This is definitely like a bull flag on the weekly chart. So, and it's got a lot of energy to keep going down, which can take it way up into the 70s. So Bitcoin definitely can and has the ability and energy and everything. If it wants to keep running higher, it can do that. All right, let's see what we got out there. Okay, all right. Cool. Like I said, guys, if you have a ticker you want to throw in, you want me to analyze, I'm happy to do so. Otherwise, if you missed the beginning, you can go watch kind of the analysis just overall on where the markets are at, and that'll kind of give you an idea of what we're looking at least short term, and we'll see how we go here. Also, gold too. Let's see here. All right. Well, I'll run back over to the SPX chart. One thing I did not show on that is the monthly. And you can see the monthly is getting down into exhaustion after this run up. So again, seasonality, August into September. Again, this is the biggest chart. Now, this thing can run. You can see you can continue running, into exhaustion. And so that doesn't just mean because this is low that this is automatically going to correct, but it is getting lower on energy. And again, like I said, that seasonality of August into September, you get volatility, you get, some of those pullbacks and the corrections. 5% would be absolutely perfect. Right down to 6,000 is the absolute perfect level to come in, find that support at that previous resistance, print that higher low, and then take off. That would be the absolute perfect thing to see. I don't know if we'll get it, or it may take a while to get it. We may, bounce up again and then come back down and see that over the next few weeks. But we're going to have to either go, kind of sideways to down for a little while to get that weekly chart charge back up. All right, guys. Well, if there isn't any other questions and you don't have any tickers you want me to analyze, then I'll probably cut you guys loose for today. It's just a little bit of a short one. So, all right. Well, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Again, I'm kind of running solo while Doc is out, but he'll be back. I don't think he's back next week. I think he's back the week after that. So we'll keep running it this way and everything. And then Doc and I will be back together, get his take on things as well, too. And we'll just keep rocking and rolling. So see you guys. Take care.